Profit Education and the Cashflow Clubs. My name is Daniel Wood. I'm one of the founders of Momentum Profit Education, and I'm very excited to have you here. We're going to be looking at how to play Cashflow 101. This game is, to me, one of the most exciting games you can play because it's in some ways similar to Monopoly, where you build your financial empire. But what's different is that this is more based on how your finances actually work in the real world. It's about creating not a financial empire necessarily, it's about creating financial freedom for yourself and your family. It's about playing a very fun board game that you can play with your friends, with your family, and at the same time learn how to make sure that you're making smart investments, how to grow your passive income, and live that life that you deserve, both in the game, but then to use that in the real world to actually play. So today I'm going to go through with you how to set up the game and how to play. What are the rules and how does it work? So I hope you're excited. Let's jump right into it. So this is the box. We'll start by opening it up. Here we go. All right. So with the game, you always have the game instructions. I definitely recommend, even if you watch this, take a quick read through of this. Just learn the ins and outs of the game. Now, every single player needs one of these. It's called your income statement. It's basically your profit and loss statement and your balance sheet. So just like in the real world as an investor, or just handling your own personal finances, you're going to have your income statement up here. How much money are you earning? You're going to have your expenses down here, and that's going to lead to your passive income. We're going to go through this more in detail in a moment, but just give you an overview. You also have your balance sheet here. These are your assets. This is what you own. These are income generating with stocks and shares or gold, things that can produce for you a value in the future or now. And then you have your liabilities, meaning your debts. You'll have a home mortgage. You might have school loans. You might have a car loan or credit cards or retail. And of course, when you buy assets like real estate, you might have some debt there. So that is really exciting. The goal of this game is to create enough passive income, so not your earned income. Everyone in the game gets a job, and I'll show you how that works. But we want to create as much passive income as we can so that the passive income covers our total expenses. What we call this is financial security. Basically, we think about it in the real world, not just in the game. Think if you have expenses of, let's just use 3,000 euros a month. If that is what it takes for you to maintain your current lifestyle, what would happen if you created a passive income stream, maybe rents from property or some other passive income stream? What if you had 3,000 euros a month? What would that mean to you? Well, that would mean that you no longer have to go to your job to maintain your lifestyle, does it? It means that you have that income no matter what, and you can keep your lifestyle. Now, that is the goal of this game, at least phase one. Once you've completed phase one, we turn to phase two, but more on that later. So everyone gets one of these. All right, so once you have that, you have the letter from the Rich Dad organization. You can read that as well. Now, let's get to the fun stuff. Here is the actual game. Here is the game board. I'm going to lay it out, see if we can get an up-above view of this as well. But so here is the game board. This is where you actually play Cashflow 101. So we're going to make sure that you can see this from multiple angles after we have unboxed it all. So this is where we play. That is really important. And this, of course, is the money. So you're going to have someone who's in charge of running the bank. So that person will be in charge of making sure that when someone has their payday, when they get their passive income, if they buy or sell shares or other assets, that the money is transferred to and from the bank correctly. So someone gets that role. Now, of course, we need the playing cards for the game. So you have your deal cards. So these are known as your big deals. All right, so big deals are, just like they sound, bigger deals. They will be anything from real estate, corporate takeovers, land purchases, developments. All of them cost $6,000 or more. So once you've gotten a little further in the game, you're starting to build up some capital. Big deals are generally better than small deals, but you have to be able to afford them. That leads us, of course, to the small deals. So small deals are available for anyone in the world, and it's just like the real world. You can buy stocks, you can buy shares, you can buy mutual funds, you can buy gold, you can do small real estate deals. All this is available. These deals are from $5,000 and less. So they're very available to everyone, and this is where most people will start the game. Now we're going to get to the mechanics in a moment, so bear with me. Then you have these cards. They're called market cards. So the market cards are cards that, something unexpected happens. It might be a stock you bought. Things have gone amazing. The company has grown exponentially. It could be that you started your own company and you've had a huge success. It could be that, well, it can be bad news as well, sadly. It could be that the company didn't go well. It could be that your investments haven't gone the way you expect. It could be that someone trashed one of your properties, or there might be someone out there buying properties like the one you just bought and you have a chance to make a huge profit. So that's the market card. It's a bit of a wild card there for you, but it's very exciting when you get the right one. And finally, you have what's called the Doodad card. Now, the Doodad is something that Robert and Kim Kiyosaki, the creators of Cashflow 101, talked a lot about in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. They talked about how most people, what they'll do is they get money in, they pay all their expenses, they buy all the things they think are fun, and it's a big word there, if there is any money left over, they might start saving that up and putting that into investments. Now, what the most successful people in the world do, they get their money in, they allocate funds to their investments, they build their asset base, and then from the income from their asset base, they make sure to cover their living expenses, which means they never take on living expenses that they can't afford to cover. And that is a very, very important difference. That is personified in the game through the Doodad card. When you land on the Doodad spot, then you will have to take a Doodad. And so it's about learning how to play. All right, next part. Here is the dice and mouse bag. So all of us will get a mouse because we got to get out of the rat race, or a rat, I guess you should call it. We all need to get out of the rat race. So I'll take the purple one. I also take these counters. They're used in different situations in the game. So I'll keep some of those for me. You also need your die. Now, in the inner circle here, as you can see, there's an outer circle and there's an inner circle. In the inner circle, you use one die, except if you do something that both we and the Rich Dad organization think is very, very important, and that is to give back and help others. All right? We've been through crazy periods. We're going to go through crazy periods, and helping and supporting others is very important. So they've actually worked into this game a certain amount of karma. So when you donate to charity, you donate 10% of your income. For the next 3 turns, you get to roll 2 die instead of 1. The big value of that means that you get to your paydays twice as fast, which means you'll build up your capital, allow you to do more small deals or big deals, and be able to get to passive income quicker. So that is, as with everything in this game, it's a mirror of what's happening in the real world. And I think it's important to remember that giving back to others will benefit you as well in the real world. Now, finally, we have these. These are very, very important. These are your profession cards. You could be anything from a janitor to a police officer to an engineer, a teacher, a doctor, an airline pilot, a business manager, and all of these have a different set of income and expenses. And so if we go back to our original income statement here, you see, I don't know if you can see it, if you zoom in maybe, you can see that these actually have the exact same things on them. because this is the basic way you should be running your finances in the real world as well. So I pulled out a business manager card here. Now, no business profession is better than anyone else, and I'll explain why in a moment. But what you will do is you will look at these part by part. So first, you got your profession, business manager. That is matched here on top. You write business manager. Then you follow here, you see your income. Well, originally you have no assets. You don't have any interest or dividends. You don't have any real estate. But you have a very nice salary. You're making $4,600 a month. So you put that here on top. You got your salary. You fill that in, $4,600. And that will go to your total income here, $4,600. Same as you can see here. Originally, zero passive income, total income $4,600. Then you got your expenses. You just copy that off right onto your income statement. It will give you your total expenses, and that will then give you your monthly cash flow. Basically, when a month is over, which means you pass the payday kind of part of the game here, once you pass the payday, you get whatever is your monthly net return. So every time you pass payday, that means a month has gone by, you get paid your salary, you get any passive income you have, you pay your expenses, and you get that in. You can see here also per child expense. You start with 0 children, but everyone's expenses for a child is different because it depends on what how many nice clothes you buy them, how many toys you buy them, how many activities they get to do, all these things that mean that children don't necessarily always cost as much. So in this case, for the business manager, I'll give you a little comparison here. The business manager will have a total income of $4,600, total expenses of $2,930, and a per child expense of $240. Their monthly cash flow starts at $1,670. Look at an airline pilot here. It's making $9,500 with per child expense of $480, so twice as much per child as the business manager, and total expense of $6,900. So their cash flow is higher at $2,600. We're going to talk about why that expenses is so important. Then you got the doctor, of course, $13,200 in income, $640 per kid, and total expense of $9,650. You got people with lower salaries like teachers who are making $3,300. You got police officers up to your doctors and lawyers and engineers. So you have all these different kind of levels of salary. But what happens is when your salary goes up, generally so do your expenses. So the airline pilot has a lot more expenses than the business manager. The business manager is more than the nurse. And when you're playing the game, remember what the goal was? Well, the goal was to get enough passive income to cover your expenses. So even if this means that as a doctor, I'm making more money every month, it also means I have a lot more expenses to cover. That's why I say no card in this deck, no profession is better than another. Now, what's fun though is depending on which profession you have, different strategies will work different well to become financially free. And that's what's interesting. Depending on where you are today in the real world, there are different strategies that will help you get to this goal in real life. Now let's continue down here because we've looked at the top part here, your income statement, your profit and loss statement as a company would call it. At the bottom here, you have what's called your balance sheet, your assets and your liabilities. So in this case, the business manager starts with savings of $400. That's what they've been able to save over the last however long. And they have all these liabilities, all these debts, a home mortgage of $75,000, school loans of $12,000, car loans, credit card loans, retail debt, and all that was taken up. What does that cost to service in your expenses? So this gives you your total information. Now, if I'm going to get my passive income to be bigger than my expenses, there are only 2 ways for me to do this. What do you think they could be? Well, the first is obvious, right? We need to increase our passive income. I need to buy passive income assets. The other is I could choose to try to lower my expenses. So for example, let's say here As the business manager, I have credit card debts of $3,000. My credit card payments is $90 a month. So if I paid off that credit card debt, my credit card payments would go down. So that is one strategy you can do to make it easier to build your passive income. Now you'll see in the game though, what it is that Robert and Kim intended to be the best solution for you. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I'm going to let you discover that on your own. Is alternative 1 or alternative 2 the quickest way to the goal? Again, it's not always the same necessarily for all the business cards. It can be different. All right, so once we have that sorted, it's time to actually start playing. So I have my profession and I have my income statement. So the first thing I do is I take my rat here and I put him right by the sign that says start here. Makes sense, I suppose. So if I start here, I then have to get some money from the bank. So what I'll get is what's said here are my assets. My savings were $400. So I'll take $400 from here, plus I'll take my first monthly cash flow. So I've just gotten paid salary when the game starts. So as the business manager, that means I get $1,670 plus the $400 in assets, so I get $2,070. So I take that from the bank here. And that's why the banker is so important, to make sure no one's skimming off the top. Okay? Now I'll have my money here in front of me, and I can play this alone. This game, you can play it like solitaire. You can be 2, 4, 6 people on a board. You know, it's a very social game, working together, supporting each other. And there are 2 strategies there. One is you can play it like opponents. I'm going to win first. The other is you can play this as partners and help each other to the top. This is the big difference between cash flow and Monopoly. Just because I win does not have to mean that you lose. Capitalism can be a cooperative venture, and that's one of the things we learned while playing. So let's say I start here. Let me give you a quick demonstration. So I roll a die. In my case here, I got a 2. So I take 2 steps on the board, which takes me to the big deal, small deal. It's fine. Now that lets me choose if I want to take a big deal or a small deal. Now, remember, how much did I say that the big deals tend to cost? Exactly, $6,000 or more. Well, the small deals cost $5,000 or less. So in this case, I started with $2,070. So let's think small for now. Let's start small. We'll work our way up to the big deals. So I read off what it says on this card. And in this case, it's about a stock. It talks about that high inflation leads to poor share price. So, okay, the price is low. And I have the option to buy at this price, but all the players could sell. So I look at it. Today's price is $5. This gives no dividend, so it will give me no passive income whatsoever, but the trading range is $5 to $30. So I now, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to let you experience the game, but I now make a decision. Am I going to buy shares in this company? I could choose to buy for $5 and buy 1 share. I could buy for $70, buy a few more shares. I could buy for $2,000. I could even go to the bank and take a loan and borrow money to get to buy more. If I take a loan, you put that here under your loans. You write down how much you have. I can loan in $1,000 increments. And my monthly interest rate is 10%. So for each $1,000 I borrow, it's going to cost me $100 a month. So I could borrow money. What I have to make sure is I don't go bankrupt. The only way to go bankrupt in this game is if you are in negative cash flow and you don't have any money left to cover it. The moment that happens, you're bankrupt, and that's the only way to lose. So you have to manage your finances smart. Once you've done that, you're off to the races. You'll choose your big deals, your small deals. You'll get your market cards. You'll get your doodad cards. And hopefully, you'll be able to exit the rat race and get to the outer circle where all the fun is. I'm not going to walk you through that in today's video. We'll create other videos where we'll explain that. But for right now, let's focus on getting you out of the rat race, both in the game and in the real world. Welcome to Momentum Property Education. Welcome to the Cashflow Clubs. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope I get to play with you live, both on the board and in the real world. Thank you so much for joining us. I'll see you soon.